Shadows of the Pixel Empire. In the glittering spires of Silicon Valley, where dreams were coded into reality, Reed Harlan reigned as the unchallenged emperor of Vortex Games. At 42, he was the CEO who had turned a garage startup into a billion-dollar behemoth, crafting worlds where millions escaped into epic quests, dragon-slaying battles, and interstellar conquests. His penthouse overlooked the bay, filled with prototypes of holographic interfaces and awards from industry titans. Reed's bank account swelled with 7 figures annually, but to his wife Julia, it was all just child's play, pixels and joysticks, a farce unworthy of a real man. Julia Harlan, 38, was a vision of polished disdain. A former model turned socialite, she lounged in their marble-floored home, scrolling through Instagram feeds of power couples in finance and real estate. "You're playing with toys while the world builds empires," she'd sneer during their increasingly rare dinners. Reed's late nights coding revolutionary AI for immersive RPGs were, to her, evidence of his immaturity. She craved the raw ambition of her past, embodied in Danny Voss, her ex-lover from college, a rugged entrepreneur who had vanished years ago to chase fortunes in oil rigs and high-stakes ventures. Reed knew the stories, Julia whispered them like forbidden lore when she was drunk. But he loved her fiercely, or so he told himself, enduring her barbs like a gamer grinding through a boss level. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped into the Pacific, Julia sauntered into Reed's home office. He was deep in a virtual meeting, his screen alive with concept art for Eternal Reckoning, a game where players orchestrated betrayals and revenges in a sprawling digital kingdom. She cleared her throat dramatically. "Danny's back in town," she announced, her voice laced with a thrill Reed hadn't heard in years. "He messaged me. Wants to catch up over drinks. Old time's sake." Reed paused the call, his executive's avatars freezing mid-gesture. He looked up, his sharp blue eyes meeting her defiant gaze. In that moment, the weight of 1,000 unspoken resentments crashed down. Julia expected a fight, a jealous outburst, proof that he was man enough to claim her. But Reed simply leaned back, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Okay," he said calmly. "Have fun. Tell Danny I said hi." Julia blinked, caught off guard. "That's it, no questions, no drama." Reed shrugged. "You're a grown woman, Julia. Do what makes you happy." His tone was even, almost amused, like a player spotting a glitch in the Matrix. She huffed, grabbing her designer purse and storming out, her heels echoing like thunder on the hardwood floors. The door slammed, and Reed sat in silence, the glow of his monitors casting shadows across his face. For the first time in their 8-year marriage, the code clicked into place. This wasn't defeat, it was the setup for the ultimate endgame. As Julia's car sped toward the city lights, Reed sprang into action. He didn't rage or weep, he orchestrated. First, he called his personal assistant, a loyal ally from Vortex's early days. "Mobilize the team," he instructed. "I need movers, discreet ones. And access to our logistics AI." Within hours, a fleet of unmarked vans arrived, their drivers sworn to secrecy under NDAs thicker than game manuals. Reed directed them like a raid boss, packing Julia's wardrobe of Chanel dresses, her jewelry boxes gleaming with diamonds he'd bought, her collection of abstract art she'd insisted on. Everything she owned, down to her monogrammed towels and the espresso machine she adored. But Reed wasn't content with mere eviction. He hacked into his company's prototype AI, Nemesis engine, designed for generating dynamic revenge plots in games. With a few tweaks, he used it to predict Julia's moves, cross-referencing her social media history and old emails. He discovered deleted messages, flirtations with Danny that predated his return, hints of secret rendezvous. Fuel for the fire. He printed them, sealed them in an envelope marked, "For your new life," and tucked it atop the boxes. The shipment, not to some storage unit, that was too pedestrian. Reed pulled strings with Vortex's global shipping partners, routing everything to Danny's upscale loft in downtown San Francisco, address gleaned from a quick database dive. Perks of tech royalty. By dawn, as Julia likely tangled in sheets with her past, her future arrived at Danny's doorstep in a cascade of crates, labeled boldly, "Julia Harlan's belongings, courtesy of Reed." "Enjoy the upgrade." Julia returned the next afternoon, her hair tousled, a smug glow on her face. She expected Reed sulking in his office, perhaps begging for reconciliation. Instead, she found the penthouse transformed into a hollow shell. Her closets yawned empty, the walls stripped of her paintings, even her side of the bed was bare. Panic surged as she tore through rooms, screaming Reed's name. He emerged from his office, composed as ever, holding a tablet. "What the hell have you done?" she shrieked, her voice cracking like shattered glass. "Where is everything? My clothes, my things." "Shipped to Danny's," Reed replied coolly, his eyes steel. "Figured that's where you'd end up anyway. Saves you the hassle." Julia's face twisted in fury, veins pulsing in her neck. She lunged for her phone, dialing Danny in a frenzy. "You bastard! How dare you?" But as Danny answered, confusion bled into her rage. "What? My stuff is where?" "At your place. With an envelope." Reed watched, arms crossed, as the color drained from her face. Danny's voice boomed over speaker. "Julia, what is this?" "Messages. Affairs. And, wait, there's more. A video file." The wild twist unfurled like a hidden level in one of Reed's games. Unbeknownst to Julia, Reed had embedded a USB drive in the shipment, a custom, game, demo from Vortex. When Danny, curious, plugged it in, it launched Betrayal's Echo, a personalized simulation. It recreated their affair in vivid VR, but with a narrative flip, Julia as the villain, her secrets exposed in branching storylines pulled from real data. Danny, immersed, saw projections of lawsuits, scandals, and financial ruin. Reed had anonymously tipped off Danny's investors about embezzlement rumors, fabricated but convincing, thanks to AI deepfakes. But the coup de grace. The game hacked Danny's smart home, locking doors and blaring alarms until he confessed his own secrets. He was bankrupt, back in town to scam Julia for her share of Reed's fortune. Julia dropped the phone, trembling. Danny's screams echoed. "You set me up. This is insane." Sirens wailed in the background. Reed had timed an anonymous police tip for fraud. "You think my job is childish?" Reed said, his voice thundering now, epic as a cinematic cutscene. "I build worlds where betrayers fall. And in this one, you just lost." He handed her divorce papers, prenup ironclad. She got nothing. As security escorted her out, Julia realized the depth of her folly. Reed wasn't a loser, he was the architect of empires, real and virtual. And in his game, revenge was the final boss. Reed watched her go, then returned to his screen. Eternal reckoning awaited, inspired by tonight's plot. In the pixelated shadows, he smiled. Game over.